Alright, Yahweh Shimon Shah Barakatah, the oneness to the apostles of Great Millstone. This is GMS Fruit of Knowledge and GMS, a collaboration of GMS The Beloved Truth. Today's lesson is based on how basically how the leaders of your so-called black communities have basically sold you out to the so-called white man, and how the so-called white man, how your prominent black leaders use so-called white man's tactics to bring you further into totalitarianism government, where they have the federal government basically ruling over you more with more authority, which basically leads into the chip on how they basically leading our people as sheep to the slaughter for them to take on this chip and be a part of the image of the beast, as the scriptures say.
Okay.
So I just have a few points, proving my claim in the books. All right.
You want the video first? Or?
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
And one of the biggest things that our so-called black leaders do is what we call pressure from above and pressure from below. All right, they use the same tactics as the so-called white man, so they can allow the federal government to come in and basically, take away your rights and use more authority.
But what is the best way to sell big government and then world government to a people like ours?
And then, like the brother mentioned, it's black leaders. Some nigga TV, he's a part of that black leadership.
Yeah. Irritated genie.
Yep.
You gotta be polite.
Yeah, polite. They're part of that black leadership. Hell, Nate Satan is a part of that black leadership. And ISUP gay is a part of that black leadership. Okay, because what you're gonna find out is all the so-called leaders of this world, and it's a document, we're gonna get into that too. It's called Memorandum 46, and it shows and lets you know how the CIA has their agents within the black community. Okay, and it's documented and signed by so-called Jew. Started from Jimmy Carter, and it was signed I believe in 1968 by how you say his name? The Jew. Is it Big New?
It's Big New Brzezinski.
Yeah, it's a Big New Brzezinski. Okay, so we got a couple of clips to show you about that. This video is 7 minutes long, so you just gotta bear with us so we can get all our points out.
Yeah, if you want to be edified, stay tuned.
And this is pressure from above, pressure from below, and this is going to explain and give you the whole gist of
it. But what is the best way to sell big government and then world government to a people like ours, historically devoted to an independent republic of limited powers? The answer is simple. In revolutionary literature, the tactic is known as pressure from above and below. It's the strategy that Colonel House laid down in his book, Philip Drew, Administrator. Deliberately create problems, and then offer only those solutions that result in the expansion of government. Create conditions so frightful at home and abroad that the abandonment of personal liberties and national sovereignty.
And it's another word for it is order abkea.
Yeah.
Problem action solution. Esau creates the problem. He wants the people to react however way they're gonna react, and he gonna always have a solution for it. Okay, that's how the Learned Elders of Zion's work it, and it's the book called Learned Elders of Zion, and it breaks that all down.
Yeah, and one of the preeminent guys that we're gonna bring out of the black leader, or however you want to say it, black leadership, is what you all know is Martin Luther King. He used the same tactics. He wasn't nothing but an agent, basically for Satan, for the New World Order. Okay, and a lot of the leaders are from your churches to your mosques to everybody that's a former leader in your society. They all agents of the so-called establishment that is pushing this new world order.
Okay.
which it leads right into the chip, you know.
Will appear as a reasonable price for a return to domestic tranquility and world peace. If those who seek world dominion can stimulate leftist mobs into violent confrontation with local law enforcement, and also provide exhaustive news coverage so that the entire nation can see and tremble, then the peaceful and freedom-loving majority can be programmed to accept a vast expansion of government powers and even a national police force, offered supposedly to end the violence. If those who seek world dominion can raise the specter of an enemy armed to the teeth with superior atomic weapons on the verge of launching a nuclear holocaust, and also offer world government as the prevention, then millions of Americans can be programmed to accept the loss of national sovereignty as our last best hope for peace. This is the meaning of pressure from above and below. To put over police state measures at home, they need chaos, crime, and anarchy in the streets. To sell the idea of world government, they need the constant threat of nuclear war. Or, as they say in revolutionary circles, the real action is in the reaction. In 1968, Random House Incorporated published this book by James Coonan, The Strawberry Statement, Notes of a College Revolutionary. Coonan carries the usual New Left credentials, and is a classic example of the extent to which a highly intelligent mind can be programmed by the establishment into thinking that it is acting against the establishment. Coonan was one of the leading participants in the first student seizure of an American university, which occurred at Columbia in April of 1968. Initially, the movement was not large, and easily could have been stopped by a simple police action. But as usual, the anti-establishment forces received their greatest help from the establishment itself. For several days, police were told not to interfere. Meanwhile, university officials groveled in the face of outrageous propaganda charges, and the media made national heroes of the rebelling students. MGM even made a movie out of Coonan's book. On page 130, Coonan wrote, "In the evening I went up to the U to check out a strategy meeting. A kid was giving a report on the SDS convention. He said that at the convention, men from Business International roundtables, the meeting sponsored by Business International for their client groups and heads of government, tried to buy up a few radicals. They offered to finance our demonstrations in Chicago. We were also offered ESSO, or Rockefeller money. They want us to make a lot of radical commotion so they can look more in the center as they move to the left." Jerry Kirk, while a student at the University of Chicago, was active in the SDS, the Du Bois Club, the Black Panthers, and the Communist Party. In 1969, Mr. Kirk broke from the party, and the following year testified before the House and Senate Internal Security Committees. Here is what Mr. Kirk has told us. "Young people have no conception of the conspiracy strategy of pressure from above and pressure from below. They have no idea that they're playing into the hands of the establishment they claim to hate. The radicals think they're fighting the forces of the super-rich, like Rockefeller and Ford, and don't realize that it is precisely such forces which are behind their own revolution, financing it, and using it for their own purposes." When Stokely Carmichael was head of the militant revolutionary group known as SNCC, he was invited to speak at the University of Chicago. Jerry Kirk, then still a Black Panther, was among those who attended, and here is how he described Carmichael's appearance. Mr. Carmichael was obviously in the middle of something rather important, which made him more nervous and more tense than in the past. He started speaking of things which he said he could not have said before, because his research was not finished. He spoke of the false consciousness of many blacks who believed the Jews were the instrument of oppression of blacks. And he made note of the fact that even though many Jewish people, for example in New York, own quite a bit of land, one must understand that the overwhelming percentages of mortgages in Harlem was owned not by Jewish people, but by Morgan Guarantee Trust, the Morgan family, and Chase Manhattan Bank, the Rockefellers. He repeated the line from the song he liked so well. "Something is happening here. But you don't know quite what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? What he was getting at was that the Jews were simply one strata of society who are themselves being oppressed by people who were much richer and much more powerful. In the agencies of this power, he cited banks, the chief among which were Morgan Guaranty Trust and Chase Manhattan, and the foundations connected with these monoliths. It was not long after this that Stokely Carmichael mysteriously was ousted from both SNCC and the Black Panthers. Apparently, he had learned too much. More and more young radicals are beginning to wake up to the fact that their entire lives have been carefully programmed by the very people who are their hate symbols. They're beginning to realize that their so-called anti-establishment outlook actually is the calculated product of the establishment press, the establishment communications media, the establishment entertainment industry, the establishment schools. Rich men's corporations publish and popularize revolutionary books and songs. Through advertising, rich men's businesses subsidize revolutionary magazines. Rich men's tax-exempt foundations pour millions of dollars into left-wing organizations. The federal establishment in Washington, through agencies like the OEO, provide weekly paychecks to thousands of hardcore revolutionaries. And so we return again to the basic question, why? Why does the establishment publicly condemn but privately support the anti-establishment movement? Former communist Jerry Kirk answers, the idea is to create a situation where the people are so frightened of the violence all around them that they will throw their hands up in the air and demand, federal government, do something. And the only choice open will be martial law. The communists, black militants, and revolutionaries will never succeed in overthrowing the government of the United States. But unless they are stopped, they will scare the American people into accepting socialism from Washington and statist rule by the insiders of the establishment. This is what it is really all about.
You can see basically that like he was explaining, a lot of your leaders are basically juiced in, and they used by the establishment to bring forth certain agendas. Now, one person that comes to mind is Martin Luther King. All right, which I'll get into a little bit more on. Basically his standpoint in this whole in this whole movement, and what he helped basically do to bring in the more authoritative system with Lyndon B. Johnson and welfare and certain things of that nature. Okay. But first, I want to go to this point in this book. It's called The Unseen Hand by Ralph Epperson. All right, as you can see. Okay. In the first point, okay, is it says Alexander Frazier Tyler wrote. It says a democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government, and what it's getting into is that this democracy, what they call democracy, is really is the first stage. It's not a complete government system. It's the first stage to a two-tier or two-stage government. First you have democracy, and then you have anarchy. Anarchy. All right, and what anarchy is, I just said it right. And what anarchy is basically the fall down of society. So when anarchy comes, that's when you bring in the police state. That's when you bring in the martial law, which the leaders are help pushing this agenda. Okay, that's why when you go to church, your pastor don't talk about what goes on in the news, because really they don't want you to know certain things. Okay, they want you to say dumb and dumb to what's going on. Okay, which basically leads into them basically leading you as sheep to the slaughter. Okay. All right, so it says, yeah, kind of. It said it was about the same time that a British professor named Alexander Fraser Tyler wrote, "A democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government." And see, what people don't realize is that martial law and the police state, that's all written within the Bible. All right, a lot of this is biblical prophecy. Okay, so people like Polite want to say nowadays, I mean, well, I forget the title of the video, but he say basically Hebrews are what do you say, are agents, basically agents for the establishment. And in a way, he's right, because a lot of those Hebrew factions, they are set up by the elites. Okay, only to keep pushing this fantasy bullshit dream, American dream, so they can basically accept this totalitarian system.
Right, Israelites of America and shit.
Right.
And then on top of that, what the brother said is right. And then Polite, he's a fucking agent.
Yeah, he
just
is.
Like Nate. They saying, you know, they try to use that COINTELPRO on us because it really stemmed from calling GMS agents. But
right.
That's what the agents do. They how do you say it?
Yeah, they point the finger, basically.
Yeah, they point the finger.
Yeah. So,
but you know, have you ever heard of the saying, when you point that one finger at somebody, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you? Yeah. You know? So those are the real agents. They use that as a disguise, you know?
Yeah. All right. Let me just read this point. It says, it can exist only until the voters discover they can vote themselves largest. All right, which just means generously. It says, defined as a liberal gift out of the public treasure. And that's what happened when they gave you you so-called Negroes voters' rights, man. They allowed you to basically take on this system and be a part of this totalitarian system, which is the New World Order. Okay, and you have plenty of presidents that made quotes about the New World Order. Okay, and basically, and what is it? What ultimately what it entails is that chip, you taking that RFID chip. All right. It says, which is the mark of the beast. It says, from that moment on, the majority always votes for the candidate promising the most benefits from the public treasury. It says, with the result that democracy always collapses over a loose fiscal policy, QE3s. All right. It says, always to be followed by a dictatorship. All right. So as you can see, it says, here is outlined the procedure by which democratic or even republican forms of government can be turned into a dictatorship. And if you got any precepts, okay. It says this technique of subverting a democracy into a dictatorship was spelled out in a book in 1957 by Jan Kozak. All right, a member of this the Secretariat of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia. All right, basically he was a Masonic. He was part of the Masonic order, and he, you know, probably high ranking because we looked this guy up and we couldn't find him nowhere.
Yeah,
all right?
Couldn't find no pictures on him, no information on nothing.
Nothing, you know.
So he probably don't exist. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It says Mr. Kozak titled his book "How Parliament Took a Revolutionary Part in the Transition to Socialism," and the role of the popular masses. And basically we're gonna break down socialism and what it means. Okay, it's simple, you know. So we got socialism for dummies.
I'll go to that right now.
Yeah, kind of. Just real quick, just so you can understand what it means, what it actually means. Okay, because a lot of your black political members, a lot of your black church pastors and leaders in your communities, a lot of you fake Hebrew Israelites, you fall up under this. This how can I say subscription to socialism, because really that's what your whole philosophy is based off of. All right, you get along to go along so you can be an American Israelite or an American Moor or American Kemet or whatever, however the hell you want to explain it. All right, so here's socialism.
This is socialism. It says a way of organizing a society in which major industries are owned and controlled by the government rather than by individual people and companies.
Right, that goes into Agenda 21. No privatized assets can be owned by individuals.
Right.
Now you have the umbrella corporations that come in and they own and they buy up everything and own everything basically.
It says any of various economic and political theories advocating collective or governmental ownership and administration of the means of production and distribution of goods.
Right, so indirectly you guys subscribe to this way of life that basically the New World Order.
Yeah.
And basically that when we get into it, that's who Martin Luther King, that's what he was his agenda was pushing you so-called Negroes and you Latins and Native Americans into a socialistic state, which is nothing more but the New World Order.
Yep, I got it. Preset.
Okay.
This is Ezekiel 11, and I'm gonna start from
2 was good. First.
2 kind of starts looking for. Yep. Ezekiel 11:2. Then said he unto me, Son of man, these are the men that devise mischief and give wicked counsel in this city, which say, it is not near, let us build houses.
Right, and then in prime example, the guy Nathaniel 7, he's saying that basically we got 20 years. You can basically put your kids through school. You can get a career.
Yep.
You can do all this other stuff except for hasten the day of the Lord, man, because He's coming, and these prophecies are taking place. Yep. Martial law and all these things are happening.
Yep.
The stress of nations. Okay.
It says, this city is the cauldron, and we be the flesh.
That's right.
Right, and that's going into the whole school idea, man. When they said that let us build houses, when you build houses, man, that means you are willing to stay somewhere for a certain period of time. You know, you basically you establish your life when you begin to build. Say you get your house, then you get to working on your house, then you get to expanding your house, then you get into expanding your backyard, then you get into putting a fence around your home and shit like that. You niggas want to stay in this society, man. But how do you obtain the house? You gotta go. You gotta do the American dream. You gotta go to
bank and get a loan.
Right, the banks and get a loan, or you gotta go to school.
Yep,
okay,
right.
So fuck the schools, man. That's building a house is basically you going off to college and trying to get a fucking career. Ain't no more careers in America, man. Okay, but you got these sellouts, so we're gonna get more into it. How they pushed us. They pushed this right here. They pushed verse 3. It says, "Which say it is not near. Let us build houses. This city is the cauldron, and we be the flesh." That's what they pushed. That's what Nathaniel's pushing. That's what ISUP Gay is pushing. Okay, that's what polite is. Exactly. That's all they pushing.
Yeah.
I just did a lesson, and you'll see it. That this nigga said, let's do something that's bigger than God.
Tazariot. That's right.
Cause he was bigging up Red Pill, Polite, and all of them guys. He said, y'all basically are powerful, so let's get together and build something that's bigger than God. What type of shit is that?
Yeah, the scripture said how can two walk together except they be agreed?
Because they are agreed.
And on top of that, the scriptures talk about the slip of the tongue, but we can tell that was in your spirit that you basically want to come together with these infidels, these people that don't even believe in Yahweh Shah. Shot. And Polite's reaction was like, for real, this nigga's a hypocrite, man.
Yep. And what's his name? Polite been calling him a hypocrite. Yeah. Because he's seeing the shit that they saying and doing, Right. But going back to the brother point, this is Matthew 15-20. These are the things which defile a man, but to eat. Wait, that's not it. Salakia. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Salakia, verse 18. But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. Right. So that came from his heart, man. It came from his mind. He thought that came basically deep within, and he blurted that stupid shit out on camera. You know, basically his cards was revealed, man. That's what the Lord doing. The Lord is making y'all spew out the bullshit that y'all actually believe in, and y'all don't believe in Yahweh Shemel Shah. You know,
that's right. Yeah, and I got a precept real quick. This is second Ezra's.
Done reading this or?
Yeah, just to show them, they're taking away private property, and we don't want to stray too far off the point out of this book, because we're gonna bring you right back around to it, on how your leaders is basically using the same philosophy as these devils, the same philosophy as the Rothschilds, which the Rothschilds used them as agents in the first place. Okay, we're gonna get back on that, but here's a precept to their brother's point. It says 2nd Ezra 16, and but this is to the elect. 16 and Slakia. 40. 16 and 40. It says, "O my people, hear my word. Make you ready to the battle. And in those evils, be even as pilgrims upon the earth." So you're supposed to be a pilgrim. You're not supposed to be going after houses. And okay, if the Lord give you that to sustain you for the time being, He give you that, But you don't put all your hope and your energy into that, man. And the scriptures say,
you niggas don't have faith.
That's right, man. And that's what it really boils down to. Yeah, man. And then the Lord said, when He come back, shall He find faith on earth, man. And He's talking about the elect, because a lot of y'all are falling out the truth due to your lack of faith, man. Due to your lack of faith, man. All right, so yeah, it's like it says, "He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose." All right, so that's the type of spirit you're supposed to be in. All right, not this, not this. I'm trying to get what I can. I'm trying to get rich, and so on and so forth. All right, so this back in the point. All right, this is under the chapter 3, forms of government. This is page 36. I ain't even mentioned the page. In the book of the unseen tyranny. The unseen hand. All right. It says a democracy.
Stop it at 35 minutes. So
okay.
So stressed out.
Right. That's right. It says a democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It exists only until the voters discover they can vote themselves largesse. Okay. Generously out of the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority always votes for the candidate promising the most benefits from the public treasury, with the result that the democracy always collapses over a loose fiscal policy, always to be followed by a dictatorship. Okay, that's what America is going into. All right, that's one point. Here's another point. It says this technique is of subverting a democracy into a dictatorship was spelled out in a book in 1957 by Jan Kozak, a member of the Secretariat of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia. Mr. Kozak titled his book "How Parliament Took a Revolutionary Part in the Transition to Socialism and the Role of the Popular Masses." And that's exactly what has taken place in America with this whole civil rights and so on and so forth. It says the American version of his book is titled "And Not a Shot is Fired." That's the title of the book. It says the communist strategy for subverting a representative government. Mr. Kozak describes what has been called the Prince's movement. Okay, the method by which the conspirators can use the parliament, the pressure from above, and the mob, the pressure from below, to convert a democracy into a dictatorship. Mr. Kozak explained his strategy.
And what that's from democracy into a dictatorship. That's when you have 9/11 and you scare your people. You scare the masses of the people. That's that pressure from above.
Yeah, okay? Not only that, but
terrorism.
Yeah, Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah.
Events like that. Now you got Black Lives Matter, and it's gonna get into his 5-part program. All right. Now this is from an elite, but it's gonna tell you that that Martin Luther King adopted this same philosophy. He studied this guy, all right? And a lot of his friends cut themselves off from him because he was doing this, all right?
He was being trained.
Yeah, that's right. And we got some on that too. All right, this is point 2. Point 3, a preliminary condition for carrying out fundamental social changes and for making it possible that Parliament be made use of for the purpose of transforming a capitalistic society into a socialistic one is to fight for a firm government majority. I'll just say that instead of Parliament. It says which would ensure that develop a strong pressure from above and to see to it that this form of government, that this firm government majority should rely on the revolutionary activity of the broad working masses exerting pressure from below.
Right, and what that is like I said about 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have 9/11. You have the elites organize that 9/11, so it can basically this whole war on terror to scare the people. So,
That's right.
So Esau got the people in a trick bag with all the propaganda of 9/11, all the media of 9/11,
The boogeyman,
the
terrorists.
boogeyman, the sob ass stories and shit like that. So they gonna say, well, we need the people. They gon' how you call it? Look towards America to help their problem. Like, we got people attacking us, so how can y'all help us? Well, we're gonna do checkpoints. We're gonna take away certain licenses, and we're gonna implement martial law. We're gonna RFID chip to see who belongs here, who don't belong here. That's the beginning of Agenda 21, the totalitarian system.
Yeah, that guy Doug Christie.
Demolition Man.
Yeah, the guy Doug Christie just came out early in this week.
Yep.
Chris Christie.
Yeah, fat.
New Jersey. What is he? The governor of New Jersey.
I think so. The
This
guy
guy-
who got caught snorting crack or some shit like that.
Yeah,
a couple
cocaine
years
or
ago.
something like that. Yeah, this guy basically
Well, you see,
said.
he's still a fucking politician.
Exactly.
But go ahead, my bad.
But yeah, this guy basically said that immigrants need to be tracked like FedEx packages.
Yep.
Just to piggyback on what the brother was saying. So imagine that.
And then that's why they got Donald Stump, stupid ass, with this whole immigration and they're scary, they're evil, and all that BS. Because why? Right after he started saying that, why all of a sudden on the news they start showing immigrants killing? A Mexican came over the border and killed this lady and something like that, or it was an immigrant neighborhood, and some of them was illegal. And the ones who was illegal, they got caught from killing someone. They just feeding this propaganda shit, man.
That's the pressure from above.
Pressure from above.
Pressure from below. All right, and they justifying the means to bring in the totalitarian system.
Yeah.
Which is beefing up police, beefing up policies, taking away people's rights, and all this other shit.
But looping back into what the topic is about our leaders, all of that, right? They set up agents in our communities,
in the communities,
to rise up against that. So once we rise up against it, you get Jake to go along with you. Jake gonna go 100 yards.
That's right.
So once Jake go 100 yards, that's when the race riots are gonna start. They're gonna start, whooping on crackers and shit like that. They're gonna start the Black Panthers, the fight the police back, and all things of that nature. Then guess what? Then they gonna put in martial law. That's the pressure from above, pressure from below.
That's true.
It's just basically a cycle. They call it a mechanical state. And a mechanical
machine.
the machine mechanical state. And what that is like
certain gears hit other gears.
It's like putting a coin in a slot to test certain things out, and whatever you get, that's what you get.
Right. And what the brother is talking about is a demagogue. All right, a political leader who basically stand up to the establishment, who seeks support by appealing to popular desire. All right, I got it written down as a footnote. It says, and prejudices, rather than by using rational arguments. All right. It says, so demagogues. This is page 33 of under the chapter 3 forms of government. It says, so demagogues are usually hired by those supporting an oligarchy. So the same people that basically, what you seen in the video, the video at first, the establishment basically pays off these leaders. All right. It says those supporting an oligarchy as a form of government to create the anarchy or social discontent that the oligarchs convert into a true oligarchy. Democracies are converted to anarchy. All right, and basically that's the whole stem of this Black Lives Matter, the Occupy Wall Street. There's so many small waves of these protests coming up. All right. This is back in page 37 under the chapter forms of government, the unseen hand. It says what
you starting a new point or a new?
Well, yeah, just get into his 5-part program on how this actually works.
Okay, let me see something real quick.
Okay. And then I'll get right into Martin.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna close it out real quick. This is segment 1 or A. Okay, and then we're gonna come right back. So shalom.